Hi, I'm Hilary Russo. Thanks for joining me for the HIListically Speaking podcast. I'm a certified holistic health coach and havening techniques practitioner, lover of great conversation, and of course, clever wordplay, HIListically speaking. So welcome to an empowering place where my guests share their transformational stories of trauma to triumph through health, healing, and humor. It's the ultimate brain candy as we find out who we are, how we got that way, and what it takes to be a happy and healthy grown-up. And be kind to your mind. I'm glad you're here. You know the expression, there's no I in team? Yeah, I don't buy it. But hey, I get it. I love good wordplay too. And yes, there's technically no letter I in the word team, but without the I, the you, the me, can team really exist? This past weekend really made me think about this, so hear me out. I decided to hop a flight to Dallas, Texas to attend my college reunion and homecoming at SMU. Now, with all that's going on in the world, I have to admit I was really on the fence about taking this trip. But I'm so glad I trusted my gut and headed south to the Big D. Not only did it give me a chance to be a part of a really fun weekend, attending all the festivities on game day, watching the Mustangs win, seeing the true red and blue team spirit in the stands, but I really felt like I was part of something bigger. The energy of it all, the sense of community and togetherness that we've all been lacking for quite some time, haven't we? The weekend game gave me a chance to see a lot of old friends. Friendships that go back like 30 years. Hard to believe 30 years, but amazing in its own right. I laughed with my sorority sisters as if we were right back inside the Gamma Phi Beta house. Are you listening, sisters of the world? And aside from my sisterhood, it was a weekend filled with hitting old stomping grounds with friends, sharing, listening, reconnecting, like a day had never passed. But when I think about the game, my fellow Mustangs, my friends, my sisters, and all that surrounded me this weekend, it also made me think about all the teams and tribes that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of. How beautiful it feels to be part of something. So, yeah, there is an I in team. Thank you very much. And holistically speaking, you're listening to her right now. So, what does team mean? Well, to me, it means feeling supported, feeling connected as you strive for something bigger and greater than you ever imagined. It means being okay asking for help when you need it. And it means knowing that your tribe, your family, your sisters, your brothers, your coaches have your back. It's good stuff. I met Jill May about 5 years ago on the set of Daily Burn 365, yet another team or tribe that I'm always grateful to share with my listeners. Jill had just won the NBC reality competition show Strong with her coach, Bennie Wylie. And they both joined us on the set as Bennie led us in a workout. To see Jill's transformation was inspiring, but to learn about the woman behind the story was really sparking my curiosity. Now, I get it. I put myself out there on Daily Burn, making my own transformational journey public, and again on QVC when Nutrisystem came calling. It's a lot to put yourself out there publicly. That fear of failure can really creep in. The what ifs. What if I don't lose the weight or get in shape? What if I fail or drop out? What if I break my word to others or myself? What if they don't like me? Yeah, all that inner bully crap. I felt it. Jill felt it. I imagine you felt it too. But you know what really helped us through? The team and the I in team. So, on this episode of Holistically Speaking, Jill not only spills the beans about what made her take that leap of faith to become more fit and focused, but also how family and fears of the unknown were part of it all, the legacy that she wants to leave for her kids, the vulnerability of putting yourself out there, and the importance of mental health when it comes to trusting your team and your I, your gut, and believing you are strong enough in a world filled with possibilities. I promise you, This conversation will not only inspire you, but it will leave you in stitches because these two gals, we laughed a lot. I might just have to book another spontaneous trip, this time to Minnesota. After all, Jill did promise me that she would break out the juicer. Just saying. But you'll have to tune in to learn more about that. So grab your headphones because it is time to get strong. Jill May, it is so great to have you on Holistically Speaking. I have not seen you in, I think we established it's been about 5 years when you came on Daily Burn. You had just won NBC Strong. And I just remember thinking to myself, this chick is such a rock star. I mean, the story that you have just from your own wellness and fitness journey and how you got from point A to point B and how you've continued on that path and what you've created for yourself is just so inspiring and amazing. And I am just really excited to hold space for you here today.
Well, it's so good to see you again. It's crazy that it's been 5 years ago. I went, when we'd connected, I went to your Instagram and I looked at some of your Daily Burn photos on your page and I was like, oh yeah, like it just kind of brought me back to like when we had met on the set and everything. So, but yeah, crazy that it's been 5 years ago already.
I know. And you still look amazing and everything you're doing. I mean, training and furthering yourself and just, I mean, I know that it's such a empowering what we do for ourselves. I mean, this is the only temple we have, right? We have to take care of our bodies, our mind, our soul. And just watching how you've been sharing so much inspiration online and obviously with your family and your kids and just the community in general, plus anyone that you're working with personally. I mean, was that really always your goal when you went on Strong?
That's a great question. I don't think so. I would love to say, yeah, that was my total vision from the beginning and I've executed it perfectly, right? But that's just not how my life has gone anyways. No, I actually had this crazy dream years ago. Like, I've always been a dreamer. And so when I was in my early 20s, the reality TV market was really just coming around at that point. And my only interaction with reality TV at that time was watching it on television. And I think Survivor was really big. And I remember thinking to myself, I was a young mom, I had gotten married really young and I had my daughter at the age of 20. And I was just this young mom and I was looking at the TV and I would watch Survivor and I'd be like, I just remember thinking that would be so stinking fun to compete on a reality television show. I have no idea. People are like, why did you think that? Why did you want to do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I just thought it sounded fun, But anyways, I tucked that dream away because I thought, oh, it's just, like you do with dreams. You entertain them and then it's like, well, we'll see if it happens. And, and then I went on living and, it was, years later, over a decade later then when, I was just at this crossroads in life. We had just moved from St. Paul, Minnesota to a small town in west central Minnesota. And I was just kind of at this point of what am I doing with my life now, and I ran across the casting for and this is how they phrased it. I just remember this to this day. The casting notice for this show, Strong, it was like, are you a mom who wants to get fit, healthy, and strong? And I just remember seeing that, like, are you kidding me? Like, who wouldn't, you know what I mean? It was one of those, like, who wouldn't answer this and who wouldn't want to do that? And so that was kind of how I entered the show. And then I applied and, did everything necessary to, I made a video, sent it in, and then I got casted for the show. And then I'm trying to remember where I was going with this. What was your original question?
Oh my God, I love you so much. But just like if that was your mission. Okay. You're so real. You're so real. Okay. It's just, I love it. Yeah. What was your goal?
Okay. So my goal was like the pursuit of my dream. Okay. So it wasn't necessarily my mission to go. I never thought of like becoming a trainer, inspiring my community to fitness, training people in my community, being passionate about health the way I am. I guess I never envisioned that. I was just simply pursuing a dream. And then it just happened to be that particular avenue into that dream happened to be a health and fitness show. And at that point in my life, it was kind of a perfect alignment because I was just not doing well in that area, I was battling some, depression and just what I've learned is, when you're battling stuff like that, when you're battling mental health things like depression, if the physical health comes down with it. And that's kind of where I was. So yeah, it wasn't a goal of mine to become a trainer and coach and train people, but it just happened that's the way my path led. So
yeah, I think the thing that I love to talk to people about, especially with my clients or just people I'm talking to, whether I'm on I'm the one being interviewed or I'm interviewing someone, is that lots of times in life it's a falling into, right? We fall into things organically when we just let things happen and we go with the flow. And I can really identify with that story that you're telling, not with having the kids and everything, but just like wasn't feeling good about my body, my health. I'd let things go a little bit. And then the casting for Daily Burn came on. I'm like, this is the perfect time for me to get my butt in shape, So I get it. And and then when you get it, you're like, oh God, what am I in for? Right? Like,
right.
They're like, kick my butt. Right. Which basically, and for you, I mean, being on the show and, everything being televised nationally on a national television show. And was there a second thought about things once you got it?
Oh, God.
When you were like, oh my gosh, is there a 30-day window to back out of this?
Like almost every day for the first weeks on set, I think. But, kind of, because it's just like I have that personality that I just run. I just run off cliffs, and then it's like, shoot, I hope someone's going to be there to catch me, I love to just go. But yeah, I don't always think through the consequences. So it's like, there was definitely moments of like fear, like what am I have it was like that. I have no idea what I'm stepping into. No idea. Because I didn't have any experience with any sort of like filming or on set or anything like that. I was just like pursuing a dream, that I'd seen on like TV years earlier. So I definitely had second thought, or probably fearful thoughts, but I would have never probably turned back, if that makes sense.
When we fear something, if you fear of the unknown, that you either love or you fear, right? Yeah. So you either embrace it and go for it. I mean, you had nothing to go on. You'd never seen, you were the first winner. So, right? So there was nothing to compare it to except other shows similar to it where there were reality television winners, competitions. Yep. But this show specifically, you had nothing to compare it to. So...
I mean, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. You're the first winner. So what was that like as well? I mean, being on a show, you know what? I want to get to that in a minute. I want to talk about your pairing. You were paired with a trainer and let's just go there because he's kind of awesome.
Okay. He is awesome.
Talk about that.
Okay, yeah. So my trainer was Bennie Wylie, and he's currently the strength and conditioning coach for the Oklahoma Sooner football team. And that's his history, that's his experience. He trains players that go on to the NFL and so forth. I mean, that's kind of the level of athlete he trains. But yet at the same time, he's such a down to earth person. Yeah. I knew when because we picked our trainers and I knew he was the right pick. I just had that feeling. He came across as a very straightforward person. And yeah, I mean, he changed my life. A lot of what he taught me, and this is what I didn't know at the time either, when you're like, hey, was this your vision to like become a trainer? What I didn't really realize at the time is that I actually was apprenticing, I feel like, under him, even though it was like at the time we were partners and he was training me and he was teaching me and he was trying to like keep me alive through the process, But I really like what I do with my clients now, how I construct things, how I train, my philosophy, a lot of that was gleaned from his teaching. And so, yeah, it's a cool thing. I mean, yeah, he helped transform me first. And then really I started to learn how he taught and how he did things. And I really have taken that to my clients and community as well. So that's a cool thing.
Do you still keep in touch?
Yeah, yes, I do keep in touch occasionally.
Oh, that's
Via
great.
social media here and
Yeah.
there and everything like that.
I
Yeah.
find it really
But
interesting that they allow you to pick your trainer. I did not know that. So it was a number of trainers and you actually had an opportunity to pick different trainers during the beginning of the process?
yes. Yep.
Was
Yep.
that a
So
was that a tough one?
um
I'm so indecisive. I'd be like, oh, but will she be easy on me or will he be? He looks hard, but he looks nice. If I say I can't do it, he'll stop, right? Like I would be second guessing
well, and
myself left and right.
right. I mean, there was that too, but really what helped that second guessing, because I do that too. I think
Yeah.
like, what about this option or what about this option? But we had like 30 seconds. So,
Oh my gosh.
so it was like, or around there,
Yeah.
around, we just didn't have a long time. So really you had to make a quick decision.
Yeah. What was the selling point with Benny? What was the thing that made that decision happen?
I could just feel that he was a bold, straightforward, I mean what I say what I mean person. And I know I'm just drawn to that type of personality, especially when it comes to a competition setting, especially when it comes to someone that's going to be helping me, because that's what I respond to. I respond to straightforward people like, don't give me fluff. I don't need fluff. I want authenticity. And so that really exudes from his personality, or it did for me at that time.
Yeah.
So his
So
boldness, I guess I would say.
yeah, he was, and when he was in the studio with you, and when we were working out with Benny, there was a nurturing sense, but like you felt like you had a coach, like you felt like you didn't just have a trainer, you had a coach, and you had someone that was a support system, and it was fun working out with him. Now I get it, the half-hour show Daily Burn is fun, and it's a good workout. I mean, you were like thrown to the wolves. It was a different process, but I think it's trusting your gut, isn't it? It's trusting your gut when you made that decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
Much like making the decision to fill out the casting call.
Yeah, true. No, it would have to be trusting my gut, because really in that, what do you do when you have a limited time and a choice has to be made? I mean, I think that's the default, is you trust your gut. That's what you do,
Yeah.
So most definitely it was a gut decision.
So let's talk about family a little bit. Being married, having kids. What was the reception like when you said to your husband, your kids, you're like, I'm doing this?
Well, yeah. My husband knew who he married. No.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, or part of me, right? My husband's always been super supportive. He personally would never apply for a reality show. He personally doesn't really fully understand why that would be a dream of somebody's. But he is just excited, and he's always been an encourager of my dreams. And so he's my rock, he's just very level. He's even keeled. And so his reception was, okay, what am I filming? Because he helped me put together the video, So he's like the logistical, and he's like, okay, I have to run beside you on the bike. Okay. And so he was very helpful. He was very supportive, and his mind went to, okay, what do I need to do when you're gone? Like, how is this going to work? So he went to a very, how do we make this work mentality? Because that's who he is. He tries to figure out how to make things work. When your wife leaves for 9 weeks and whatever.
Yeah. And then he had to take on all the kids. They had to take on the kids and be the dad and the mom. And you're like, see ya.
Yeah, totally. He's a rock star. I mean, I feel like I still need to give him like a party for that, because he did so much. And, my kids had moved around a lot at that point, and our lifestyle kind of had us moving a lot when they were small. And right, wrong, indifferent, I think it kind of made them used to change. Not that it was ever easier or anything like that, but it's like, okay, it was still hard. They miss, I miss them. They miss me. And, they were used to having me around all the time, because I was an at-home mom. So I was with them all the time, a lot. But they were in school, and I don't know. I've always had this philosophy of like, I just want to model, like it's more important for me. I know time is precious. Okay. Don't get me wrong. I want time with my kids. I know it's precious, but I also in the deepest part of my soul, I want them to see like their parents modeling, like chasing the pursuit of dreams or chasing their calling, or, because I just feel like kids so often like do what you do, not what you say. And like, I wish it was not that way, kind of, but, and so, it was hard on my kids, but at the same time, we all kind of had this excitement, like, no, mom's going for this. We don't know exactly what she's going for, but she's going,
Just come back
anyways,
alive.
That's what I know. That's a good point. That's a good point. So
how old were your kids at the time?
Okay, so my daughter, let's see, they would have been around, don't quote me exactly, but around like 9th or 10th grade, I think my daughter was in. So I probably had a high schooler, 2 middle schoolers, and an elementary schooler.
Good night.
At the time.
4 kids.
Yeah.
Like, mom's going away. They're either thinking this is going to be party time with dad, or we're in, it's going to be like Miss Doubtfire, and it's going to be problematic. I'm sure it was an amazing experience. Yeah. And then to see you, see the process happen, watching mom and your transformation, really. But were you an athlete prior?
Yeah.
I mean, were you an athlete in high school and in school and just in general?
It's funny because my high school years, I kind of had a rough patch and I dropped out of sports. But I played college again, or I played basketball again in college. So I picked it back up again. But really, I'd always been into some sort of fitness, though. I really had been. It'd always been important to me to, like, especially post-pregnancy, I was always really big on kind of getting back in shape and feeling, good about myself. And, but not super, I was never a D1 athlete or anything like that, So.
Yeah. So, I mean, but being an athlete, honestly, I was a high school, college athlete as well. And it's very easy to assume, it's very easy for people to assume just because you're an athlete at any point in your life, you'll always be an athlete. Your body will always be in athletic shape. But it is very easy to also lose that, I mean, yes, the muscle memory can bring it back faster, but if we're not actively working on it, then it can be put by the wayside, especially when life gets in the way. You're a mom, you get married, life, age. Yep. So, we look back on those years and we have to be inspired to take care of ourselves the best way we possibly can, because this is the only body we got. Right?
Yeah, so, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you on that too. I mean, I have so many people that, like so many clients or people I've talked to over the years, like since Strong, and so many of them are former collegiate athletes and, former like D1 athletes. And they're just like, I hear their stories similar to that. Just like, I don't know, Jill, what happened, life got in the way, and as it does. Right. Yeah. I mean,
yeah. So listen to my Holistically Speaking listeners, if you're just kind of tuning in, I'm talking with Jill May. She is the season 1 winner of NBC's reality TV show Strong. You might remember it maybe about 5-6 years ago. We're going back, right?
Yeah.
But we are still living strong. And I want to also mention, I had a chance to meet Jill personally about 5 years ago when she came as a guest with her trainer at the time, Bennie, from Strong, and they were on Daily Burn with us, Daily Burn 365, which is still going strong as well. But having you on and just being able to see what you achieved during that time and just the true inspiration that you are, we're really excited to have you here. And I just want to mention that Jill recently wrote a book, like many during the pandemic, and it's called Strong Enough, right? And Strong Enough is her journey, her story, and she's going to be giving away a signed copy, an autographed copy of the book. And I'm going to give you some information about that in the notes of the podcast. Basically, really would love for you to follow Jill on Instagram. And you're just going to mention that you heard it on Holistically Speaking. And Jill will put that out there and get in touch with her. And she's going to tell you all about how to do that in her post when we actually share this podcast. So again, Jill, so great to have you here. So I want to move on to the next part of this. And that's basically, let's talk about mental health a little bit. You know, that's the basis of my podcast, which is turning those traumas into triumphs through health, healing, and humor. And here you are, you're a health coach as well. And you're also a certified trainer. And how important do you see mental health being in our journey in life? I love asking that question.
Oh man. Mental health is everything. I mean, I don't want to just make a blanket statement, but I think, man, out of all the things I learned at Strong, you know, this was definitely, this kind of brought it out of me. You know, it's like people would ask me all the time, you know, when I would do interviews after Strong, they would say, and they were asking about like my physical transformation because that's what they could see, right? But they would say, how much of your journey, Jill, because they saw the transformation, and they said, they'd always ask, how much of your journey was mental? I'd get that question all the time. And I was just like, it really started me like thinking, and I just remember at one point being like, I think all of it, because so much of what happens in our life, the decisions we make, how we move our body, what we choose, comes from our brain. I mean, you know, and so, but it was like, wait, I just discovered that like during my process at Strong. I just don't think I'd ever thought about it before, or no one had ever asked it in that way before, or, so yeah, I think now I'm losing the original question again. I'm sorry. I get off on the tangent.
We're just having too much fun.
Yeah. But yeah, I think so much of life is about mental health. I mean, yeah, so much of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, we have to be able to take care of our bodies first. But that's our mind, you know, our brain. And as I always say, be kind to your mind. And it's so important that we do that, because without that, how are we going to have the motivation to do the other things that we're doing? Right. You know? Right.
I remember hearing this speaker a couple years back, and he was talking essentially about how, you know, the systems of the body, like the body, the mind, the soul, that they live so close to each other that sometimes they catch each other's. And I think he was talking at the time about when things go wrong, you know, so sometimes they catch each other's diseases is how he put it at the time. But I think the point that I took away from it was just that our mind, body, and soul, we're just intertwined. So what we do to the one affects the other, and vice versa. Yeah. You know, in just so many ways. It's such a complex thing in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways it's simplistic.
Sometimes I think we make things more difficult than they really need to be. It's almost like what you were saying, the fear of not going on the show, the fear of choosing the wrong trainer, the fear of like not doing things in our lives that we want to do, that we don't know what the outcome is. So we're almost sometimes scared to do it. But that's where like the motivation and the inspiration and all that comes into play. And when we just let go and let things happen, we're amazed by what can truly happen when we just let go of the reins a little bit, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That just tripped something in my brain when you said that. Because really, the decision to do something is simple. You just say yes, and then you start to do it. You start on that journey. That seems like a simple concept, right? Yeah. But we complicate it because we get in our own head, so to speak. What happens if this? And then we go on like a rabbit trail, and all this complication, or this, down. And it's like, wait, this was supposed to be simple. It was just a decision and then actions towards that decision. But here we are, like, complicating it with the what ifs, with you know, everything else.
Those what ifs. Good Lord.
Oh, good Lord.
we definitely love the what ifs. And if we, you know, in my work, I'm also a Havening Techniques practitioner, which is neuroscience-based mental health. And we always talk about the turning the what if into the I choose and then into the I am. those powerful
Mm.
what if, I choose, I am statements that can really change the trajectory of things when we do that. And we do that in hypnosis as well. And sometimes that power of thinking, okay, we can what if ourselves to death. We really can.
Yeah.
But once we start
Yeah.
seeing, wait, that can be turned into a choice, which can be turned into me living my truth, living in my power. And that's where like the true, where everything happens in our lives. If we just give ourselves a chance to realize we have the capacity to do whatever we put our mind to, right? We really do.
It's so yeah, it's so true because even, I look back at my mental health journey if I'm just looking at that part of it,
Mhm.
and the times I've been more healthy mentally has been when I felt like I have power
Mhm.
to change this, right? I can choose to change. It's when you get in the hole of there's nothing I can do,
Mhm. Definitely.
and then you're just stuck in the misery. Yeah.
If you were to meet someone today that was thinking of going on a show like NBC Strong or any other show, and there's so many reality shows like The Survivors out there, the shows that really are challenging shows, not so much the reality shows that we see so much of this day and age,
Mhm.
but the true competition shows that are out there.
Mhm. Mhm.
What would you say to somebody that came to you like, I'm thinking of doing this?
Are you sure you want to?
Did you ask yourself
I
that
would ask
question?
them that.
Yeah.
I mean, I did. Because I think a lot of people, there's a point of if it's somebody's honest dream,
Mhm.
then do it.
Mhm.
But also there's the point of what we talked about earlier in the podcast, which sometimes you don't always know what you signed up for,
Mhm.
right? So there's a lot to filming a reality show, especially if you're not used to that industry at all. And so if they want to, I would just make sure that like that's an honest dream of theirs,
Yeah.
because then yes, it is worth pursuing. You go. But
And your
there's
your life is out there. I mean, my brother, who's an artist, is also a executive producer for reality TV and has had a number of pretty successful TV shows on nationally. And I remember sitting on set with
Mhm.
some of these shows over the years, and things are broken up. It's not like from point A to point B. They're getting the reaction shots, they're getting the
Right.
testimonials, and they're getting you with like tears
Right.
in your eyes and falling to the ground, sweat and blood and
Yeah.
tears. And you're really putting
Yeah.
yourself out there. It's not just getting the best of you, but it's getting everything of you, you know?
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. You are in a vulnerable place,
Hmm.
and so you have to be okay with that, really. And you have to be okay with, different things that come up. Like, you can't really know what it's going to be like to leave your familiar surroundings for 9 weeks and be put into a completely different environment until you get there.
Hmm.
So um, I think people just need to be prepared for, if they want to do that, that's awesome, but be prepared for the unexpected, both in your surroundings and psychologically and emotionally, physically.
And I think you ask a really good question too. If someone were to come to you, do you really want this? And why do you want
Mm-hmm.
it? Questions that sometimes we don't really ask ourselves. And I think we need to listen to our inner voice more often and trust our gut and our intuition. A lot of times we don't do that. And I think the answers do come when we do that, you know?
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, right, we're a society that we always are looking and seeing what's next, and it's harder for us a lot of times to just pull
Mm.
down and just dial in, like, who really am I? What really do I want to be doing? Do I want to do this because it's something I want to do, or have I felt pressure to do it? Do I feel, yeah, that's a great point. Just we need to know what we want to do, to be true to ourselves,
Sure.
who we are designed to be.
So moving forward to when you actually did win, I mean, to win a competition like that, holy moly, to walk away and be the winner of this show, NBC Strong, after you had a moment to like get your breath again when you won,
Yeah. Yeah.
when did you realize you wanted to move into the space of health and wellness and fitness on a more professional level yourself?
Yeah, I love that question. That's a great question. Right after the show, it was crazy. And, when you're in the public eye for a minute, and people start reaching out to you, and I started getting messages from people. And what I found is that when you're in the spotlight for a show that, portrays physical transformation. So my body changed from this to this. All of a sudden it was kind of like I became this, I wasn't, yet, but I became this, like, they thought I was this expert in like how to, like, people approached me as a trainer already almost, or a coach already. And it's like, whoa, I don't have the training yet. I mean, yes, I've been learning things like from my trainer and I experienced it, which is invaluable. But so it was kind of like right after the show, I started just naturally getting approached about that. And I'm like, okay, people are approaching me. And then it was kind of one of those moments like, do I want to do this? I mean, so I did have a moment of kind of stopping and going. And then, what I started doing, actually, I took a minute and I took some time to reflect, and I remembered what my life was before Strong. And I remembered what my interests were before Strong. And always throughout my life, Hilary, I have loved fitness.
Yeah.
Like, I've always, like, when I was in college, remember when Tae Bo was really big?
Yep.
In college, I would watch the whole video and I would write it all out on a big cardboard. I would take a group of girls from my dorm. We would go across to the gym. I'd paste that thing on the wall and I would lead them through the workout when I was, back in college. We'd put like a radio on, and I was literally like reading from my script that I had written out. And I started to think back, like, wait a second, like, I just never thought like I would do that for a living, or that could be my complete purpose in life. But it's like, why not? And I think, so it was like shortly after, but.
Well, it's interesting. I feel like we parallel each other on that level too, because I never thought I would get into doing what I'm doing. You're on a path, you're like, this is the way I'm going. But then when you realize that you're a sense of community, inspiring, touching people in certain ways, holding space for others, listening to other people's stories and realizing I have one too, and how can I use my story to inspire others? Suddenly you realize, wait, I've been doing this all along. And then it kind of propels you to want to do more, because you want to touch, move, and inspire people. You want to help them on the journey because you're thinking back to when people helped you. Right. So
absolutely. You just nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of a natural, it's very organic in how it manifests. And going back to what we said earlier and what I shared earlier in our conversation, that it's kind of a falling into, because I remember that specifically as well with Daily Burn and talking to Lisa Wheeler. And I'm like, I think I want to go on and get certified as a health coach. And then it turned into more, and because we used to have health coaches there, and then it turned into the mental health. And you realize that you're falling into something that you love doing. And if you can do it powerfully and professionally, I mean, then you're never working a day in your life, they say, right?
Oh, that's such a powerful concept.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Love it. So I want to do a little, first of all, I want to mention to folks again listening, Jill May is joining us here. First winner of season one on NBC Strong, which you might remember some years ago. And I met Jill on Daily Burn. They came as guests, her and Bennie Wylie, who was her trainer. And, just seeing her inspirational story. But here she is a number of years later, writing this book, Strong Enough. Can you tell us a little about the book?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I got home from Strong, which was it was, like we said, it was like over 5 years ago when I would actually been home from set. It was such a crazy experience, right? And I remember at the time, I was just like, my husband encouraged me. He goes, you need to start journaling. Just journal. I was trying to find a way to decompress from the experience. And so, okay, here we talk about mental health. I started journaling. I had to get it out. And for me, journaling was very therapeutic. So I just was writing everything that I remembered that I had just been through in the last 9 weeks. And then, a few years later, I'm like, I think other people might want to might want to hear about this, you know, because people would always be asking me about what happened here, what, and I was like, I just need to write it out for people, you know. Maybe not everyone wants to go on a reality TV, but maybe they want to experience it, right? Which is why we read books sometimes, like live through somebody else, right? Like, and so, yeah, I've been writing. And then when COVID hit, it really kicked it in for me, right? I had time and I really wanted to get this book written. And so I worked with a small publishing group, and I self-published. They helped me self-publish. And yeah, I got it done. I missed a bunch of deadlines. I was supposed to have it like a year ago done, and then a year before that, but you know, it's done now. So, and yeah, I'm super happy. But
so it talks
yeah,
about
that's kind of how the book process came.
And the book is about your journey.
Sorry. Yes. I suppose you want to know that. Yeah, sorry.
I have this effect on people where I just can throw them off. They're so enamored with me. You're too much. I love it. These are great bloopers.
I am too much.
No, you know what? I actually love that you shared more about the book process because, well, I mean, how many people are trying to write books right now, especially this last year with the pandemic? So, like, I love that you shared that because I'm one of them. And I'm like sitting here going, oh, I need to take some notes on how she did that. But let's talk about the book.
Just my coaching style. Yeah, okay. I'm coaching you on how to.
Thanks for the publishing notes.
Coach.
That's so funny. You're hilarious. So Jill May joins us. She's telling us about how to publish a book yourself. Now let's find out what the book's about.
My publishing company might want to take me on as like a partner, you know, or something.
That is too much.
Anyways, yeah. So the book is basically me documenting my journey to Strong. Basically, it kind of starts a little before, so I give a little backstory of my life. Not a ton, but a little backstory of like who I am, where I came from, why I applied for the show, and then kind of some cool like behind the scenes stuff that like you wouldn't know unless you went on a reality show, you know, like how the casting process worked, you know, when they had to ask me for bikini pictures, and that was super fun, and then like stuff like that. And then it goes through the journey, some of my emotions, some of my struggles. It goes through the coming home, which was really tough psychologically for a little bit, and then through the win. So basically, I just take people through the reality TV process.
And it's an easy read, right? It's a pretty easy read.
It's an easy read, yeah. Most people are telling me they read it in like 3 to 4 sittings.
Which, you know, those kind of books are really great too, because it allows you to like reference back. I have so many books that I've read that I'll highlight, and then, you know, I know what to go back to. And those little easy reads that you need to pick up just for motivation or just be inspired are really good books. You know, they complement the other books that are a little more intense and in depth and might take you a couple months to finish. So sometimes you just need that like little push. Right?
Thank you. I love that perspective. Yeah, I think so.
You need me to write a review?
Yep. Yeah, will ya? I love it.
Amazing. Well, I love that. And I love that you shared it. And by the way, Jill is going to be giving away a book. So now that this podcast is out, once you check her out on Instagram, she's going to have all the lowdown on how to get a copy, an autographed copy of her book. Just say that you heard it on HIListically Speaking, and she's going to send one your way. All right, so we're going to have a little fun. Not that we've had so much fun already, but I love doing this with my guests, and you're going to have too much fun with this because you're just kind of awesome. So I'm going to do a little word association with you. I'm going to throw out a word, and you're going to come back with a I love seeing the look on my guest's face when I do this. You're like, oh, crap. First word that comes to mind, just a single word when I throw out a word to you. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm
Take
ready.
A deep breath. Okay, here we go. Goals.
Peace.
Transformation.
Pounds.
Cool. Dreams.
Retreat center.
All right. Questions are coming up in my mind. Training.
Hardcore.
Mental.
Important.
Fear.
Squash it.
Mom.
Best job.
Love it. Strong.
Biceps. Sorry.
I thought you were going to say me. Oh my gosh.
That was hilarious. I really thought you were going to say me, but I'll take biceps. I mean, it could be your biceps. I don't know. You're hilarious. I bet you're fun to work out with. I mean, as a trainer, I've worked out with you, but I bet you're a blast to work out with. Oh, that is serious.
You could ask, yeah.
You're fun. It's really fun. I got to come to Minnesota and hang out with you.
Let's go. Let's
do it, girl. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So let me ask you, what's the thing about the retreat center? What's that?
This is just recently, and I just had this vision. I love tiny houses. Okay. So I'm on this, I'm kind of on this vision. I haven't really shared this with anyone.
Oh, beyond. First time in HIListically Speaking.
Yeah, I know, right? But so my husband and I, we're eyeing the empty nest years. Our youngest is in 9th grade, and we're like, okay, we're going to be moving into this season of no kids. And we are both all about downsizing, simplifying, simple living, having around you what matters. And I just love this idea of a tiny house. And I was like, but I need a studio also. And then I could make it available for people to come in and have retreats and wellness. And, I've always kind of my husband and I have kind of always had that in different ways throughout the years. We just thought it'd be cool eventually in our life. We thought maybe towards the latter end of our life when we could do something like that. But I don't know. I just think it'd be cool to just have a place where people could come for wellness, and I'll have a juicer available. I'll have equipment available. I'll have, I hope,
a hand-pressed one. Standing there with your juicer. You're like, who's next?
I'll have a delivery guy with the fruits and veggies.
You're like, and I'll have a juicer available. Okay, I'm sold. Nothing else there but a juicer. Sorry, that was just very funny. You were committed to the juicer. I'm in.
I'm committed. And okay, awesome. And I want to, I live in Minnesota, so it's the land of 10,000 lakes, and we have this beautiful lake here where I live. And I was just I've already been looking at lots. I know it's a dream. It's probably far off, but I'm just I don't know, just this simple idea of somewhere, I know they exist already, but I'm just saying in Minnesota, I don't know.
So let me just say that I just had this conversation with my mom yesterday, telling her that I want to have when I have my next home, I have a wellness center, a barn, a wellness barn. I want to have people to be able to do what I do. So I get it. I totally get it. And I think more people are thinking the minimalistic way of being. We don't need to have so much. I'd rather have nature around me and a place where people can go, and it's not a strip mall, and it's something that can really embrace people and hold space for people. So I get it. I think do it, and please have a juicer while you're there.
Yeah, well,
maybe two. I love it. Please do that, because I would come. I've never been to Minnesota, so yeah.
Oh my goodness!
I know. Oh,
okay. We've got to get you
all
here.
Right. I mean, at least let me see one of the 1,000 lakes.
Yeah.
10,000 lakes. Just one.
We'll get you to one. We'll get you to one, I promise.
And a juice.
Okay, a juice. We'll have the juice.
I really do love that idea. And I'm sure, that's something that you're putting out there. You're manifesting it so much about, we're talking about mindfulness too. Mindfulness is put it out there in the universe, and having a partner that shares your dream. And, if your kids don't mind that their bedrooms are changed into the juicing studio, then you're good. So many people turn their kids' bedrooms into offices and full out media centers. You're like, oh no, that's the juicing studio.
No, we need room for the celery. Move over.
We have to store the celery. I love my celery juice. I love it. You're my spirit animal.
Yeah.
Anyway,
same.
This was so great. I am so elated that you were able to share your time with me and my listeners. And again, Jill is going to be giving away a copy of her autographed book called Strong Enough, and she wrote this during the pandemic. But I think it's been a work in progress over the years since you were on the show, and just everything you've built since, and helping people reach their goals, chase their dreams, embody fitness and mindfulness and mental health and realize that when you are strong mentally, you're strong all around, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And I just have to say, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on. I feel honored that you would ask me, and it's just been fun, talking to a sister.
Oh,
so
love
it's
it.
Awesome.
Thank you. So appreciate that. And it was such a joy. So thanks for being here.
Don't miss a chance to put Jill's book Strong Enough in your library. Just connect with her on Instagram for a chance to win the giveaway. And that link is on the podcast page. And how are you retraining your brain and strengthening your mind? Well, how about setting up a complimentary discovery call with me to learn more about how havening techniques can help you change your thoughts, moods, and behaviors to live your life resiliently? Just head over to my website, hilaryrusso.com/havening, and we will go from there. You can also connect with me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn at Hilary Russo. And if this episode touched, moved, and inspired you in any way, or you think it can make an impact on someone else's life, consider passing it along to just one other person who may align with the conversation. Be a part of the team. And while you're at it, stay in the know and never miss one episode of Holistically Speaking. Just subscribe to this podcast wherever your earbuds take you. And you're in. Holistically Speaking is produced by Alan Seals with music by Lipbone Redding and recorded on Squadcast. And finally, never forget that you too are strong enough and you have a team and a support system closer than you think. So thanks for listening. Be kind to your mind and don't forget to laugh.